Hello, my name is Dr. Emily Boehm. I am currently a faculty developer and I teach animal behavior in the biology department at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And before that, I was a graduate student and also a professor at Duke University, where I taught in the evolutionary anthropology department. So my job now is kind of two parts. One is that I teach college students about animals, what they do, why they do it, and how they do it. And also about kind of the science of how we figure out and answer those questions. And I also work with other professors and faculty to help them improve their teaching, add new things to their classes, really all for the benefit of students and to improve learning. So I am in the career that I'm in because I love animals. I have always loved animals. In fact, my dad told me once when I was in high school that I was obsessed because I wouldn't pay attention to him at lunch. I was just watching some ducks outside. And so I kind of knew that I wanted to pursue a degree in biology, and I got into it. I went and did my graduate degree in research, but then I found through my experiences there that actually I loved teaching more. And so I've gone kind of more in the route of teaching biology rather than being a researcher. My training, I did my undergraduate degree at Harvard, and I studied evolutionary biology. And while I was there, I had lots of wonderful opportunities to participate in research in labs. I studied snails, I studied insects. I got to learn how to do genetics research. I got to travel all over to collect invertebrates in oceans everywhere from Australia to Panama. And then I went and did my graduate degree in evolutionary anthropology, and I studied wild chimpanzees and particularly the behavior of female chimpanzees. And when you do your PhD, it took me about 5.5 years, and it's less about taking classes than high school and college, and it's more about your own new research and kind of adding that new knowledge rather than studying what other people have learned ahead of you. So related to that, one fun fact about my career is that I spent in total about 12 months living in Western Tanzania in a national park and studying the chimpanzees. So every day I would get up and get dressed and go out into the forest to try to find the chimpanzees because wild, they were ranging wherever they wanted to go. And we would follow them and take careful notes about everything that they were doing. We would take notes of what they were eating, which other chimpanzees they were with, social interactions they had. For me, the ways that the mothers were interacting with their babies. So that was really kind of the adventure of my life so far, is just living in the wild in a way and watching these wild animals, which was wonderful. So my advice for young women about pursuing careers in STEM, first of all, go for it. It's exciting. As I've mentioned, you get to travel a lot of places for free or very close to free, which is a great opportunity. And I would say, find the thing that makes you say, I have to know everything about that, which for me happened right away in my high school biology class. I thought, oh, I need to know everything about this biology stuff. I love about STEM, I love looking at the world, particularly through the lens of evolution. I like looking at every living thing, mostly animals for me, but plants too, and thinking, why are they like that? What are they doing? How did we get here? Why are they shaped like that? Why do they look like that? How do they survive? And so asking those kinds of questions just I find to be endlessly fascinating. Even when I'm not in my formal job or doing research, I'm always kind of thinking about those questions. My advice for my 18-year-old self would be to take more risks and put myself out there more, and also to intentionally try things that I didn't think I would be good at or that I knew I might fail at, because failing and trying again is great. It's really important. And it's also really hard, and it takes some practice and it takes some courage. And that's the kind of thing you have to build up over time. So that would be my advice to myself. Now, if I weren't doing the career that I'm doing, I've always wanted to be the host of a show, maybe on Animal Planet, where I could travel and talk about wild animals. I, for a while, worked in wildlife rehabilitation, which is another really fun way to work with animals. And I think I might like to go back to that someday. And I think informal science education is just as important as formal science education. So for instance, I just took my daughter the other day to our local Museum of Life and Science, and it shows you all the different ways that science shows up in your life, not just in labs or hospitals or formal settings like that, but the kind of science that happens out in nature or in your garden or in your backyard. So I think it's wonderful to get in touch with all the different ways that science is around us. My favorite books are largely by this author named Barbara Kingsolver, who writes a lot about nature. And I think my favorite of her books is Prodigal Summer, which is about kind of wildlife in Appalachia. But I really love the poet Mary Oliver, who also writes a lot about nature and animals and wildlife. And my favorite quote from her is, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" I think that's good advice in itself, a good question to ask yourself. So one good piece of advice that I would give to any young girl, whether you're interested in science or not, is to be a good friend. No matter what you choose to do with your education or your professional life, where you live, having wonderful friendships, women who you can trust, or anyone who you can trust, people who really know you and people who you know really deeply, that will be incredibly valuable, be a source of joy and enjoyment for the rest of your life. So make those friends and treat them well and stick with them. And good luck.